Microphone check. We should be live. We should be live. We should be live. Let me open up the Zoom. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we got Jay Monty here today. Our first coaching client today. We're going to focus on his problems and how to fix them. So hopefully my Zoom audio works. We will see about the Zoom. Let me check my settings. We have a loopback audio going into loopback audio. We'll see. Julian Ortiz is here. What's up on YouTube? We got Jay Monty in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Chilling, man. Oh, let me switch screens so they can see you real quick. You don't have to put up a webcam. It's not that formal. But okay. Wow, our first coaching session here. It's just you. I don't know if everybody can make it. That's why I put it at 12 p.m. to see who could actually make it. But you are the first golden child. So let me turn this music down. Is there an echo on your side?
No, everything's fine on my side.
If you would mind helping me check one thing, because one time I did a coaching session over for Producer Grind, and the audio they said was echoing. So I'm in FL Studio right now. So I'm going to play a note. Let me play a higher note. Do you hear that at all?
I don't hear nothing.
We got to figure out the FL to Zoom connection. Why is that so sloppy? So until I figure that out, we're going to omit the audio from FL, which is going to suck for you. But if you do have YouTube, it might be easier to hear the audio. Like if I'm playing notes on YouTube, okay. I don't know why the audio F's up on Zoom. I'm not quite sure. Instruments. Give me 1 second. Audio, live performance mode. Let me know if you can hear this. If not, no worries.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard nothing yet.
Okay. All right, that audio isn't working. Whatevs. We're not gonna worry about it. There he is. Jay Monty. I see you with the is that Chaos Theory background?
No, it's just some background I made at some point, and it's just something artistic I did. So yeah.
Sick. Let me put you on the big screen. But yes, I'm focused on you. This is your time. And we're going to focus on you, knock out the problems. And also you get to talk to YouTube. We're live on YouTube, by the way, and Twitch. We're going to be live on Facebook next time as well. So we could simulcast. But yeah, first, I would love for you to introduce yourself and, where are you stuck and just what are you trying to achieve? That way we can reverse engineer. But we got Jay Monty with us. What's up, buddy?
Hey, so my name is John Montgomery. I go by Monty. I'm just here. I really love to actually make music and everything like that. And I'm just thrilled to be able to learn how to be able to be more efficient on FL Studios and improve my music making. I would love to make produce songs or even make commercials and just really just start to get this ball rolling with making music. So it's exciting.
Dope. I'm going to take notes. So you're in FL. Now, if you had to rank yourself out of 10, as far as FL goes, skill set wise, what do you think? What would you rank? How would you rank yourself out of 10? 1 to 10?
Probably about a 4 or 5. Yeah. I'm still getting used to everything. Like, still just getting used to music theory and just trying to set up everything right. I really just kind of got a hang of how to get my drum beats pretty good. I'm still pretty green at this, but yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, it's
okay, yeah, I just realized I need to create a channel where you guys can send your music too so I can hear it in real time and think about that. And think about that part. I guess Zoom is a chat, right? Yeah, I guess you guys could throw it in there when more folks hop in. So okay, so I'm keeping notes so that I can reverse engineer where you might be stuck. So far I'm here in FL Studio about a 4 to 5, which means, and correct me if I'm wrong, you understand the core functionality. You could work your way through a full song, but it's not seamless from start to finish. Yeah. And then maybe you get stuck on arrangements as far as making your song feel like it's a flowing thing. Now, would you say that you're deep into plugins, like third-party plugins, or do you use stock?
I like to use party plugins. I just don't know where to find some that won't give me a computer virus.
What kind of
and
plugins?
um, I'm still pretty new. I just really downloaded the ones that you've had. Yeah, I haven't really ventured out to find any other ones, but yeah, it's about
Okay.
as much as I've got.
What would you say you pull up on an average? You know, if I went to your studio, what would you pull up just knowing that it will work? Like, what's your go-to thing?
Um, Probably go to Morpheus or either Sakura.
Okay, so you are okay. You focus on the stock stuff mostly. Okay, so I'm trying to understand where the sound could be, where you could be getting stuck, and why you're frustrated. And lastly,
Mhm.
what is the outcome that you're looking to create just to get better at FL Studio? What's the ultimate, even beyond FL Studio? What are you trying to create through FL Studio?
Um, a nice stream of income, but just a platform where I could just be able to just be, they have writers who like to write, and I like to actually create music as as my way of art and everything like that. So I just want to be able to have my creative side, be able to express my creativity, and not feel like I can't really express the music that I'm trying to make and everything like that. So
Okay, am I hearing you right too? I want to make sure that I'm hearing you right. Is that you want to collab with songwriters and kind of have your own cohort type of thing, where it's like a group effort to finish a product? Or am I hearing you wrong?
yeah, I would like to be able to collaborate with people as well. That would be dope. And I'd also, as well as just being able to just have a better idea of how I'm kind of creating music and everything like that. As far as it just kind of, at least being able to make a hip hop type songs or Afro beats and stuff like that, and um, yeah, just getting better with that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep track. So, have you successfully made an Afrobeat? Because the reason I'm asking this is because I just came off a Clubhouse. We were listening to
Mhm.
songs every Friday with Rothstein, and I'm checking my phone to make sure the stream's good. Okay, cool. Oh, my webcam's up. Whoops, my fault, y'all. Nobody told me I'm double cams. Whoops. Okay, but
I don't see it.
yeah, I did not realize I would eat up the whole screen. And they were playing Afro beats, and I realized a lot of these rhythms that we think are different are really the same. But before I go into that whole diatribe, okay, so have you done the Afrobeat thing, or are you still trying to figure out the formula of the sound?
Um, I haven't done Afrobeat just yet. I've been still more trying to just actually just get more of hip hop music down, and then I would move into Afrobeat. So yeah.
Okay, because I'll tell you the formula here. Okay, so let's work in reverse. So I'm going to share my screen. I know you can't hear audio, but if you do want to hear audio, you can pull up the YouTube stream. Again, I don't know
Okay.
why it doesn't stream my desktop audio to you guys. I'm not quite sure why that is. Let me do one thing. You mind just saying any word? Check, check, check. One more time for me. Oh, okay, that just doesn't. Okay, they can't hear it. Okay, all right, but they can hear you with this. Okay, I'll figure out the audio thing a separate day. So let's reverse engineer with trying to get a group, and let me share my screen first because the group is going to be your biggest lever point. Let me share. Hold on. Desktop. Oh, I wasn't even sharing my sound. That's probably why. Duh. Okay. Maybe that's why you couldn't hear sound because I wasn't sharing my sound. Uh oh. Check, 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 check. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear this?
Okay. I did hear a pop,
A pop.
like a whoop, whoop.
What about that?
No, I didn't hear
Okay.
anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to overly stress this. I got to figure out the audio thing. But you won't need to hear the audio truly unless you go watch the replay. But firstly, is figuring out this team aspect. So, do you have anybody currently around you? The reason I'm focusing on the team is because we need to figure out how you're going to set up. It's called the org chart first before we start talking about the process. So, we need to create the
Okay.
structure before we start talking about what needs to go into the car. We need to map out the car first. So, are you going to let me ask you a couple questions in kind of bullet form? Is how much time a week would you dedicate to leading this team of creators and songwriters and different things?
Um, it's a good question. I am pretty strapped on time. I know this past week I kind of had a little bit more time just because I wasn't able to work, but I would want to say at least once a week, but yeah, that's the best amount of time I could do right now. Mhm.
Okay, you would do one meeting. Let's say would the meeting last about 40 minutes?
Yeah, that would be pretty good. That would
And the
be a good time.
cool part is you can leverage Discord, which is completely free. And on Discord, they have voice channels, they're called, where people can collab in real time. So even what I'm saying is you won't have to host the meeting for people to
Mhm.
collaborate and get stuff done. And that way they can keep working while you're just, doing whatever you're doing. So firstly, let me get into the org chart talk because I think a lot of people skip like the structure. And then when, the problem isn't in the beginning, it's when you actually go to scale your business. Let me switch screens real quick for people on YouTube. Just give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
And hold on one sec here. But yeah, it's the problem is in the beginning because everybody can start and kind of hack it. But the problem is when you actually go to grow and you have opportunities and deal flow. So okay, let me make sure this is a priority before I start going deep into it. So this group is a priority, or is this something that you were thinking about?
Um, it was something more in the long term future, not just yet, just because I guess I don't feel comfortable just like making beats for people just yet. But it was I would still love to be able to like bounce ideas off of people and be in a creative setting and stuff like that. So um but yeah, it wasn't like the first thing off of my head to be like, oh yeah, let's get in the group or anything like that. It was I guess it was more of like, let me figure it out, and then once I have a better idea what to do, then I can be in a group too. But
Okay, so you want to okay, I misunderstood what you meant. So you want to create a group so that you can have people to pitch your beats to, and then it goes out as a song. You will be hands on, and it's not what I misunderstood was that I thought you meant you wanted to create a group where you have songwriters, maybe a couple producers, and they always are creating product, and then you move that product. You're saying you want to get hands on making the product, and then you get the artist on it to pitch it somewhere else. Is that what you mean?
um, I haven't really thought that far, so I don't know. I was just really trying to get better at just trying to make music,
Okay.
and then once I could get with songwriters and stuff like that, once I have some good quality music, then I can get with songwriters and stuff. But
Okay.
I
Okay.
guess that's something I hadn't thought about just yet.
Perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure I understand your vision so I don't go off on, into the weeds. But I think the first thing is understanding the outcomes. I think a lot of us get frustrated because we are like, why make beats? What's the point of making beats? And then we stop making beats and then we close the door and we just wrap it up. And we
Mhm.
have to have that outcome in mind. So what I'm going to teach everybody on YouTube and this session here is that we have technicians, and these are the bottom of our org chart. Then we have managers, and
Mhm.
then on top we have us, the entrepreneur in this case. Now I'm saying this because again, in the beginning it's cool until you have to interact with 10 people. It's impossible to do that.
Yeah.
So there has to be a way you can create that flow. So long story short, your idea or your intent is at the top of this chain. And let me make this a little bit bigger. Hold on. Your intent or idea is up here, and then we're going to delegate to maximum 3 people. And then those 3 people are going to delegate to everybody else in your organization in this case. So I'm saying this because this is how the deal flow will work. When you do have that group, you will be the person who creates what's called the deal flow. So let's say Sony comes to you and has a brief for some TV show or whatever. Okay, your main job is not to create the music anymore. It's to organize the deal flow so that everybody else can operate and bring you the product to then pitch for these opportunities. And that's how you're going to get more hands off. It's not as fun, it's not as creatively fun, but that's how you can
Mhm.
become more hands off when you do scale it up, assuming that you put more energy and effort into this vision. So that's what I was trying to articulate. But as far as FL, let's just get into the brass tacks, as they say. Afrobeat comes down to a rhythm of it's called tresillo, which is dum 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 like that. So it's for most genres. It's not just hip hop or Spanish music. The difference here is that are you familiar with the log drum sound?
No.
Okay, so and you might not be able to hear it, but if you open up Fruity, where's it at here? Fruity DX10, the go-to sound for Afrobeat is, and shout out to X Dizzle who taught me this, is Fruity DX10. If you go to the presets, it's called Log Drum. This is their version of the 808. Like everybody uses this sound for the most part in this genre. And the key here is that you're gonna go upwards most of the time in Afrobeat, but it's in threes. I know you can't hear, so bear with me here. But let me tap out of tempo. So let's start at 108 tempo. So if you had to come up with a formula, Afrobeat is, let's say, 108 BPM. We're going to use a log drum. And the trick is we count in threes, or tresillo it's called. So those are the formula, those are the ingredients so far. So going into the piano roll, again, you won't be able to hear this, but what we're going to do here is set up that bounce that I'm talking about called tresillo. So it's dum, dum, dum. Okay, let me turn my metronome. Wait, how was that? Okay, let's get a snap to grid, 1/4 beat, zoom on in. And we're gonna add 3 notes. Boom, boom, boom. So again, boom, 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 boom. It's the same pattern, but it's just, okay, the difference in Afrobeat is that they use log drum and then they go up in pitch most of the time. Okay, and then they repeat this. So you'll see the audio. Now, also a main difference here in Afrobeat is that with their snares, if we go to, I'm trying to think of a snare I can grab real fast. Okay, let's see. Let's go to here. Their claps, they usually use a snare, but I'll use a rim shot. They'll put the rim shot or the snare on the second hit. So instead of doom, 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 it's doom, 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 like that. So they add their snare early, basically, compared to US music where we add our snare on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dun, 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 dun. Okay, so it's on that second hit, basically, if you need to memorize anything. And that's how they get that bounce. Now, some people add a second snare, so it's dun, 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 dun. So, that's a variable in this case. But all I'm saying is that snare on that second hit is how you get that Afrobeat sound. Now, if you're looking for Afro, actual sounds, I would look up on Reddit. I tell people all the time, go to Reddit, just look up Afrobeat drum kit Reddit. Okay. I don't know who makes these drum kits, but I'm trying to find it here. I have a whole folder. Here it is, Afrobeat. And here are the ones I downloaded. I think the best one, I haven't used this in so long, is let me hear some of these sounds real quick. Hold up. I forget which one of these is actually the dopest one, but I think it was this one, Afrobeat Dancehall, or so many. I think it was Afro Groove or the Afrobeat Dancehall pack was the best one from what I remember. And then that's going to give you those. They also work with this tambourine loop. So again, I can't find it off the top of my head because I don't make Afrobeats like that. But there's a certain shaker loop or a tambourine, I think it's a shaker loop. And it's similar to how New Orleans, they have that, that rhythm that they use a lot. Mm-hmm. Forget the exact song, but in Afrobeat, they also have that type of rhythm, and it's like a shaker loop. And you can get it in these Reddit drum kits. I just forget exactly what it's called, but they use like a certain shaker loop that they put in the beats. So that's the formula. I mean, I know it's repetitive, but I mean, if you truly listen to the genre, it's pretty based around the same thing. Like for everybody who's watching on YouTube, listen to Lil Durk's album. It's the same trap melody. Dun, 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 dun. Like we've been doing that for years now. That's just the trap melody. It's the Phrygian scale starting at E. And, so like once we realize everything pretty much has a formula, we can reverse engineer it. So also I'm gonna show you some hotkeys in FL Studio you might not be using. I don't know what you use or what you don't use. You said use Morpheus and Sakura. And we're also going to talk money too. I think money that's why I started with the business stuff first, because we could be wasting a lot of time making beats, but it's like, why? It's like, what is the ultimate outcome? Okay. Okay. Music theory. We'll get into some music theory tech as well. So let me cover the hotkeys for FL. So off the top of your head, do you have any hotkeys or like workflow shortcuts that you use, like hi-hat rolls, different things?
No, the one that I use a lot is the Kernel B, just to copy and paste and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really use the hotkeys that much. I'm still learning that part. Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
pretty green with making all this, but yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let me know if I'm talking too fast too, by the way, because
Uh,
I don't want to, talk way too fast. Okay, so let's start
mhm.
with hi-hat
I'll let you
roll.
know.
Thank you, thank you. Let's start with hi-hat rolls. So firstly, in my workflow, I need a little more screen real estate here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Hold up one second. Okay. So what I'll do usually when it comes to hi-hats is add a hi-hat in the channel rack, which is this icon here. Can you see I don't know if you see you, but I see you. Do you see my mouse clicking this button?
Yes, I can see your mouse. Uh-huh.
Okay. So over here we have the channel rack. This is the channel rack. And I open this up. I'll add a hi-hat way over here somewhere. And then I'll simply just right click, fill each 2 steps. This usually gets going unless you play stuff by hand a lot. I just recommend just doing this quickly to add a rhythm, to get a rhythm going. If you want to do
That's what I
hi,
usually do too.
okay, good, good, good. So we're on the same page here. And what I'll usually do is just right click, go to the piano roll, and let me count out some hi-hats. Okay, so on this last hi-hat, I want it to roll. So what I'll do is the shortcut that I have is Control L, and this will fill out the gap. Basically, it stretches that note and it truncates it and makes it a
Okay.
little bit longer. Now from here, after hitting Control L, I'm going to hit Alt U, and these shortcuts are going to speed up your workflow a lot. So hit Alt U, and then you could change what's called the time multiplier. So this is
Okay.
another way of experimenting with different rhythms as you're listening to your beat. I'm playing it for the people on YouTube. I'm just hitting
Mhm.
spacebar to try out and audition different glitches. Okay, so that you might want to switch up your glitches. What happens is when we make beats in FL Studio, we're super repetitive, and it'll go tat 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 tat, and it just keeps repeating. And without contrast, our song's just going to sound the same. Even if we have these cool techniques, it won't sound contrasting. And even our eye is built to detect contrast. So let alone our eyes, our ears are as well. So we need to create a difference, is my point. And so that difference can be as simple as changing the time glitch on your hi-hat on the second time around. So instead of da 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 brr, it'll go da 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 da, like it'll do triplets or something a little bit different. So what I'm saying is you hit Control L here, and we're gonna hit Alt U, and then change that time multiplier. You don't have to do this, but I'm saying if your stuff feels repetitive or like you're getting stuck, just try doing that. It'll lighten it up your hi-hats a little bit. And then last thing I do with the hi-hats, I go to this wrench tool and turn up what's called time shift. And that will delay the hi-hats just a little bit off the grid so they're not so robotically quantized and robotic. And that adds like a tiny bounce to your track as well without doing anything. So that's the beginning of the workflow hacks. I'm about to go into some intense workflow hacks. Now, which version of FL are you using?
I have I have what is that? I think it's 20. Yeah, I haven't got to the latest one just yet, but believe it's 20 producer. Yeah, it's 20 pretty much.
Okay, 20. Okay, I'm not sure all these features are here. So if something looks not familiar, let me know next time we go live here. Let me load
Okay.
up. Let me load up Morphine real quick. So, firstly, is now, do you play by hand? Do you have a MIDI controller?
I do have a mini controller now. I literally just got it like a week ago, so I haven't really been working with it that much, but I'm starting to work more and more with it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I'll show you how to basically, if your approach is more so the click approach, which is my approach. My Morphine doesn't work half the time on this Mac, so I'm going to load up a different plugin. Let's just use FL keys. It really doesn't matter the sound. Um, okay, so firstly, let's say you can't come up with a melody. The first place I tell people to look is called the new Snap to Scale. I'm not sure you guys have this in 20, but we have something called Snap to Scale. And
Mhm.
what we're going to do is right click this and then select a specific scale. Won't let us select the key just yet. So we're going to select the scale. Now, if you're writing a melody, do you write chords more or do you not write chords in your music?
I haven't got there just yet, but I would love to learn it.
Okay, perfect.
So,
Okay,
mhm.
so what I'll usually do, let's do minor. So I'll pick a scale. It's usually going to be a minor scale. I like the minor tone. So I'll right click where it says minor natural. And
Mhm.
let's write in, let's say D, let's write in C minor, which is very common. What happens is FL Studio, if I left click into a button here and I move the note around, it will lock it to that specific, it's called a scale degree. So I can't
Okay.
go out of key. Now, this is important for people who are, it's almost like me in Photoshop. Like I don't know color codes that well in color theory. So when I have programs that give me the actual opposites of each other, the contrast colors or I forget the harmony colors or whatever it's called, I will copy and paste those hex codes and put it into Photoshop. So the same thing here is that this is just the beginning of where we're trying to go. So we can talk about scale degrees. I'm not going to overly talk you here, but basically every scale has a sequence of notes. So in this case, the minor scale is whole, half, whole, and then it's whole, half, whole, whole. And when I say whole, we're talking about whole steps, which are two semitones away, two notes away. So what we're going to build here, when it comes to chord progressions, is a specific. Actually, let's do major because if you're just getting into chords, I don't want to confuse you. So let's actually write into the major scale. It's also called the Ionian mode. So you're going to see it written as both sometimes. So starting at C, the difference between the major and the minor scale is the third, it's called. Okay, so in this case, the code is whole, whole, half. It's not whole, half, whole. It's whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. And then it repeats like this. You don't need to memorize that. This is just for your reference and going back in time. Now we're going to
Okay.
write in what are called scale degrees. So what kind of music do you make? Again, it's Afrobeat and hip hop.
Afrobeat, trap, hip hop. Yeah.
Oh, and trap. Okay, trap.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a formula for hip hop and then trap because trap's a little more tense than hip hop. Um,
Okay.
and hip hop borrows from a lot of funk, R&B. So what we're going to do is write what's called a 2-5-1 chord progression. All that means is that if we're talking about the C major scale, these are called scale degrees. So I have C, which is the first note of a scale. D is the second note. E is the third note. F is the fourth note. It's all the white keys starting from C. And so what
Okay.
we can do is take these notes and actually harmonize them or make chords out of them. And so the easiest way to do this is you take the root note in this case, or I'm going to do what's called a 2-5-1. I know I'm talking really fast here, but two
Would you
just means
would you say that the root note is going to be where the C4 is at?
yes, sir.
Okay. And
And
then
this,
it's just several steps up from there?
yeah, and then we'll map it out here. So I'll tell you the
Okay.
purpose behind this because I think we have to understand why people use the root note. A lot of people think we have to start at the root note, and that's not always the case. Usually, the root note is where we have to end. So it's not where we have to start all the time, but it's where we have to end. And by root
Okay.
note, we're actually talking about the root note of this specific scale, this key/scale. I'll get into what all this means in a second. So we're going to take the second scale degree here, and because it's the second note of the scale, then we're going to move to the fifth note of the scale. So it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So we're going to add G. So literally, even if I had the audio off, I can make music without even hearing it, and I will know it will work just mathematically based off of music theory. It's a good starting point, is my point. So here we have D, which is the second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we're going to go back to what's called the one. You're going to see this chord progression a lot in gospel, R&B. And again, when you hear the audio, you're going to be like, oh, that's the sound. Okay, so firstly, I'll write it in the vanilla form, which is called a triad. Now, the real definition of a chord is that it's two notes or more. I know we're taught, you probably heard the definition of chord that it's three notes or more.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's actually, if you go back to the etymology, it's actually two notes or more that harmonize. And so we have 10 minutes on the Zoom. Holy crap. Okay. I will send you something since you're the first one with extending training. Do you have Music Theory Magic, the course?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you have I'll upgrade your account but I want to make sure I'm getting this teaching to you.
Okay.
So when it comes to
Appreciate that.
chords, yeah, it's all about skipping notes in the scale. So if I start here at D, skip E, go to F, skip G, go to A, skip B, go to C, and then we just keep skipping notes. And these are called chord extensions. So whenever you feel stuck or like you're just not getting the right vibe, the short formula is that triads are very vanilla, very gospel.
Mhm.
When we have 4-note chords, we're getting into the R&B realm. 5-note chords is when we get into the jazz realm of things. Okay, so I'm going to make this a
Okay.
5-note chord. It's going to sound very jazzy. Now, to shorten the time and not bore you to tears, if
I'm
we,
not bored.
yeah, I'm trying to I didn't realize we're that low on time. Goodness gracious. Okay.
But, mhm.
Um, that's why I'm doing it daily because I suck at time management here. Okay, so G, we're gonna skip A, go to B, skip C, go to D. That's our first, it's called a triad. Then we're gonna skip E, go to F. Now this, I'm telling you why stuff is the way it is. This is a diminished chord, so it's gonna sound very tense. You can't hear it, but this is why this is called a dominant chord. We actually have a major triad with a minor seventh on top. You don't need to memorize that. I'm just giving you the definitions here. And then skip G, go to A. So now we have what's called a dominant ninth. So if you will get stuck on chord progressions and you're wondering why it doesn't sound complex, you can play with what are called dominant chords. Usually they start at dominant sevenths, and then we can move all the way up to dominant 11ths. So the chord extension goes on forever. And then we go back down to C, and then we extend it out. So I know I'm saying a lot, but I'll show you why this sounds the way it sounds. Okay, so if you're making hip hop, what we can do is take this dominant chord, this 2-5-1 chord progression. We can actually use what's called a tritone substitution. We could take this whole chord and pull it down 6 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I forgot we're in scale lock. So we have to get out of scale lock. Make sure we right click, take off, snap to scale. Okay. Because I forgot that was on. Hit shift down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is called a tritone substitution. Very important in jazz / R&B. So I'll let people hear that at home. And then we're going to take what's called the 5th and the 9th. And this is where we change these into altered chords. This is the vibe that we get from Biggie songs, from Mary J. Blige, from anything that's R&B that has a vibe to it. It's because they're altering these chords, these dominant chords. Okay, so that's how we get this specific sound. To not go too deep into it, that's a 2-5-1. It always works. The reason why it works is because all these bottom notes of our chord just walk down in what are called half steps. So we're figuring out a creative way to harmonize. It's called walking down in half steps. And that's what creates that bluesy R&B sound. So if you're going for hip hop, look for half steps, meaning one note directly to the next note. And how do we make chords out of those 2 notes? And how do those chords sound good together? That's the whole science of jazz and hip hop in a nutshell. Now, if we're moving into trap, the key for trap is suspended chords. So who's your favorite trap sound?
I have to say like a T.I. or old Weezy when he came out, when he was after 500 Degrees and whatnot, the Carters and all that. So
the Carter. Okay, you went all with
yeah.
Wayne?
Yeah, with Wayne, yeah.
Okay, who's the second one you said? Obeezy?
T.I. I said Weezy at first, but I meant Lil Wayne.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said Obeezy. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I misheard you. I thought you said I thought you were talking about this other rapper. His name is blanking, but Southside's artist. I'm forgetting his name here. Okay, so T.I. So basically we're gonna take what's called the root note, and let's just make a major chord, for example, which is C, E, G. Okay, to make the trap sound, we can go from, usually we write in minor. Okay, so I'll kind of keep this straightforward. We're going to take this middle note, pull it down 1. So if we're writing on all the white notes, it's C, E, G, then we're going to pull down the middle note. So now this is called a minor triad. And the chord code for this, if you study our music theory essentials, is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That always makes the minor chord no matter what. So we're going to go from the minor, and the next chord down is, without doing too much, is simply taking the minor third and then dropping it to what's called the major second. In short, this makes what's called a suspended second chord. So what we're doing is literally just dropping that middle note down a half step. And the sound of hip hop, like I keep saying, is this half step movement and figuring out where do we want to incorporate this half step movement. The reason why is because half steps want to resolve back. So anytime I'm going down a half step, it wants to go back up. And it's a natural magnetic relationship between those 2 notes. So I'm going to play this. I know you can't hear the audio, but it's a very haunted, suspended, tense sound. Now, most people do the same da, 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 back to back, and they never resolve it, it's called. So whenever we create tension, we have to resolve it, or we need to move the energy of the track so that it feels like it's going somewhere. So at the end of this chord progression, we could do what's called an augmented chord, which is now notice I didn't change the root note in this case. It's the same root note. So here we can use what's called an augmented chord to move the energy. So here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a major triad. And then we add 4 more, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another major third in this case. And that anytime I'm using diminished or augmented chords, it pulls us out of a scale and then slams us back into the scale, basically speaking. And why is that? It's because of this half step. Whenever I'm going up a half step, it wants to come down. Whenever I go down a half step, it wants to come up. And so again, it's this half step movement that's creating the motion of these chords, even though these chords are super basic. So if we're going for trap, look for augmented chords at the end of something, or you could use what's called diminished. So in this case, we're going to add, it's the chord code for diminished is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is going to create I'll say a darker sound, because whenever we're controlling the energy of a chord progression, usually we're listening to the top notes of the chord. And if the top notes are going downward, we're going to get a sad feeling. If they're going upward, we're going to get a happiness feeling. So really, that's what we need to monitor and what type of vibe we're going for. T.I. is, what would you say T.I. is? More happy, or is it a sadder vibe?
It's a good question. I would say probably a little bit more happy. A little bit, it's a little mix of both, but yeah, I feel like the songs I've liked just been a little bit more happy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And I agree. Because now I'm thinking about his brass work a lot. And so we can use this diminished and take it up 1/2 step from our root note. And it pulls us back. So T.I. also uses a lot of gospel. What I'll do, will you be able to catch the YouTube stream?
I'll probably look at it later on today.
Okay. I'm going to highly tailor this whole thing for you. I have all your points here. I'm going to keep going, because you're the first inaugural member. Zoom is a little, I didn't realize I had 10 minutes left. Okay, so
That's
another
fine.
thing
I
we
know
need to
how
focus
anal
on.
they could be.
Say it one more time.
I know how anal they could be on Zoom. It's just
true.
like, hey, get in, get out.
Yes, I'm going to let you use this time on the cam to talk about where you're headed, who you're looking for. There could be somebody in the chat looking to team up. What are the things you want to offer to everybody else? And if you have any songs, you can send them to me in the chat. I'll play them. And then we're going to get into the rest of the lesson for you. And I'll send this over to you. But yeah, I don't want... Well, check.
Yeah.
Since you can hear the audio, it's like, it's all theory, but I got to let you hear all this stuff. So thank you. That was a speed run, our first speed run. Goodness gracious. Marty Menning, what's up? So yes, I'll let you finish off with your thoughts and your words, where you want people to check you out, and then I'll continue your lesson for you.
Okay. I appreciate you for letting me be able to be here and learn from you how to make music and everything like that. I really don't have any social media, nothing like that, but I'm just excited to learn how to be able to express my thoughts while making music.
Sick. Amanda, he's very concise with his words. Got to give you that. All right, I'm gonna make sure I power pack this for you specifically. And to everybody else watching, you won't get the feed unless you don't care. I'm gonna archive this, meaning that it's gonna go offline. But if you don't mind, actually no, because you're on the actual webcam. I got to show you to everybody. That wouldn't make sense, because you wouldn't be able to be broadcasted. That would be working backwards. Never mind. All right, so I'm gonna let you go here, but I'm gonna continue on YouTube. Is that cool?
That's fine.
Good man. Wishing you well.
Have a great day.
Peace out, buddy. So let's continue this lesson here. Hold on one sec. I got to put my cam back on. Because I know it sucks. When you can't hear audio on Zoom, it sucks because you can't hear anything. So he's just listening to me talk, and it's just too much talking. Okay. So let's step into his mind. So remember, his goals are to create a side income. I'd highly recommend that Jay Monty builds a team so that he doesn't have to work 24 hours and everybody can contribute to this team. And then he could leverage his team while he's doing whatever he's doing. And he can pitch to opportunities, or just leverage the fact that he can do 1/10 of the work and get still, a piece of the pie. So depending on what his goals are with that, we're going to talk about that too. And then we're going to try to focus on Morpheus, Sakura, music theory, FL shortcuts, and what else did he say? TI sound, and then Afrobeat. So again, if you're watching this, Jay Monty, I want to thank you for your patience on that first inaugural, is that a word? Inaugural. T is here in the chat. Shout out to T. All right, so this is coaching for J Monty. She's also a member of the Music Producer Mastermind. All right, so let's open up some brass. Now, when it comes to brass, I'd recommend the real thing, not synthetic brass, unless you specifically are going for like an 80s sound. I would highly recommend real brass. Now, if you guys can't afford the paid plugins, it's no worries. There's a plugin called Contact Player, not Contact, but Contact Player, that allows you to play instruments for free. And one of the free instruments that you deeply need to look into, it's called the Free Orchestra by what's the company there? Is it? I always mix them up. Project Sam. Yeah, Project Sam, the Free Orchestra. So Project Sam, if you don't know, their history was all about making super dope orchestral sounds back when trap first started. Everybody was using Project Sam libraries in their Contact, whether paid for or not. Wink, wink. So that was like the thing back then. And I think it was called, what was that library? I just remember it was green. Something Essentials, like Orchestral Essentials or something like that. Okay, so this one has the starter sounds. So the first starter sound in the Free Orchestra 2 is called the Bold Legato Brass. And this is that cinematic Metro Boomin brass as well. So if you guys are looking for a heavy brass to get started that's completely free, they're still updating this, the Free Orchestra, and you have to claim instruments every month or something, all the way through 2024. So that's how you do that. Shout out to Paint and Sound. So seeing the notification about this live, catching you on the replay. Shout out to Paint and Sound. If you guys want to learn more about this customized coaching, I have a new coaching program. It's called the Music Producer Mastermind. And the website is busyworksbeats.com/mastermind. So I promised that I would broadcast these coaching sessions to YouTube so that even if people can't afford this and get this highly customized coaching information, you could still at least sit in on our chats and our coaching and see how it works out. To the people who are in the program, we're going to highly cater this to your needs. So it's extremely specific. And, the difference is YouTube, your question may or may not get answered. Whereas the coaching program, it definitely will get answered. And then we're also going to keep track of your metrics, your goals, keep you on track. And I could take it further and further, but the price is going up $100 every week because we want to weed people out. I don't want everybody in this program. As you see, everybody can't make it to 12 p.m. So we're going to figure out a mutual time where people could hop in. All right. So this is how it's going to work though. And also the people in the coaching program will be, in the YouTube videos. Let's continue though to keep giving him his TI information. So let's make these beats from scratch, starting from scratch. So the first is this brass library from the Free Orchestra 2 called Bold Legato Brass. Now let's apply our techniques here. We're gonna write a minor. Now you want to go in the TI sense, I would recommend staccato brass. I might have to open up Nexus to get more of a staccato sound. This is more sustained type of a sound. And let's up it to at least 120 is trap. 120 and up is trap. Okay, so we're going to keep repeating this in what's called a truncated note or a staccato type of articulation. Okay, so dun 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 2. And then we're going to take this third, pull it down one, like I mentioned, that suspended second chord. And that's what creates that tense sound. Now, also, we can pull it up to create what's called a suspended fourth. So either one suspended second or suspended fourth, you could, wrap around. As you can hear, this is more of a legato. Okay, so I'm going to swap this sound out, but I just wanted to show you guys that free library. There's also the Free Orchestra number 1. Okay, so that's number 2. There's also number 1, Free Orchestra 1. This is great for drill, great for trap. It's free instruments. I mean, it's pretty insane that they're giving this away for free. Where are we at here? Let's use the Heroic Horns, I think is the one here. But you see the sounds like, it's not like dung, dung. So I'm going to pick a specific library here to give you that staccato pluck type sound. Shout out to everybody in the chat too. But again, we're going to focus on Monty's needs here. So let's go to brass. Also, there's a contact library called Digital Sound Factory, DSF, Digital Sound Factory. They have really crazy libraries in Kontakt, but it's paid libraries. And look at their Proteus libraries. They have really dope sounds. I'll pull that up actually, because their sounds are just, that's the sound. You know, the sound that you're looking for TI is in a keyboard like the Korg Kronos or the Yamaha Motif. It's in keyboards. So it's very hard to get that sound without going to some of these libraries. So I'll pull up the DSF library for you. Is it loaded? Oh, you know, it's in my files here. Sounds, Kontakt, and then where'd I put it? Forgot where I put it. Here it is. DSF Proteus Rack. Here it is. Nobody talks about this because they don't want you to know. I'm letting you know now. Here's the bank. Proteus. It's got to figure out where the brass presets are, which folder. I think it's folder 3. Yeah, this has the hardest brass sounds I've ever heard. All right, so we'll go through the brass. All right, but also another option is Nexus. So that's the EDM one you guys hear all the time in commercials. That's that type of brass. We want more of an ensemble type brass. That's more synthetic. If I can't find it, then maybe this one. Okay, let's hear what this one sounds like. And that's how we get that bitey type of sound. So that's the T. Now let's speed it up a little bit for more of a dancey record. Now remember, trap usually starts at 140 because that was the BPM that FL Studio opened up into by default. So a lot of early producers didn't know how to change that. Now the question is, you want to repeat that vibe, but how do you make it thicker without overly filling this beat? Let's make this unique. Okay, and then we're going to go here. We're going to take this bottom note and just create a sustain. This is called a counter melody or a counterpoint in this case. We're going to add that in. So all it is doing is adding contrast. So these are playing short notes. We're going to play a long, low note. And all we're doing is adding that bass note. Now you could play it all the way through, or you could do a half step jump. Okay, and then let's say you want another section, you can copy that one over, make this unique, and then just simply add another bass octave. So with brass, you don't need to go into the weeds about, it's really just stacking. So now that adds that distortion sound. So let's go all the way to the beginning. I'm going to swap it out, this sound, for our Kontakt library. This is like one of my secret weapons, the Proteus library. Let me hear what it sounds like. Okay, that's a 5th. We don't need a 5th stack. Just the sounds in here. Go through a couple of things. Just gonna go on the first preset. That was pretty cool. Okay, so let's combine all this. Hit Control G to group all these notes together. I thought I had these MIDI in the same thing, but I didn't. So let's hit Control X, move these over to this one. Control V. What's up, Abel? Shout out to everybody who's here. Remember, we're continuing our lesson for Jay, who our Zoom ended, but I'm going to make sure I target all his questions. Okay, so this is the sound. Now let's talk about bass. T.I.'s bass usually comes down to what's called a Reese bass. So does Drake's bass. In this case, I'll show you how to sound design it from scratch, but you can also use different presets. So let's say you don't have Serum. I keep forgetting that you are using mostly stock stuff. So in GMS, you can go to your bass, and sometimes my thing lets me click, sometimes it doesn't. But go into your programs, click the programs, and it's called Analog Bass 4. I think it's either 3 or 4. I think it's number 4. My presets aren't working from that library. Maybe I can go into my settings here, plugin presets, generator, GMS, bass. Here it is, analog bass 4TE. Just turn this up and play low octaves. Okay, so this is like the Drake-ish TI type bass. And then let me lower this down 1 octave. I guess that was the best octave. So all you need to do is, if you struggle with bass notes, take your bottom note, which was D, and just play a long note. Okay, so let's pull this down an octave. And just, you can hold the note in this case because we have to use that bass layer as a contrast. And then what I'll do is I'll copy that brass half step jump that we did. Remember, a lot of this trap movement in hip hop and TI and all those, Lil Wayne especially, is all about that half step, that bluesy half step. After this beat, we'll do like a Lil Wayne type beat. Now, one thing I forgot to ask him, which era of Lil Wayne is. He said the Carters, but there's multiple Carters. So again, we're still in the TI sound right now. See how the energy just keeps building? Okay. Now, if he's going for like specifically that sound, I would recommend the Lunch 77 drum kits. You can find them in our Discord. It's discord.gg/busyworksbeats. So in here, we have different folders. So let's focus on, the producers from that time. Shawty Red, Polo Da Don. I don't even know if he does. So the Polo Da Don folder, Zaytoven. I don't know all of T.I.'s producers. I know Mars used to produce for him. Let me think of who else. Let me see here. Who else on this lineup? Cardiac's drums could fit. DJ Toomp. Drummer Boy. How did I forget Drummer Boy? Drummer Boy. Pretty much anybody from ATL. Mike Will Made It. Is there a Mike Will Made It one here? I don't think there is. Maybe it's called Ear Drummers. I don't see a Mike Will Made It kit. But anyhow, so let's just focus on Polo Da Don, for example. Let's start with the snare sound selection. A lot of these guys back in that era, I'm assuming he's talking about the era of like the Rihanna era where it was T.I., Rihanna, Lil Wayne, and all them. They all used the 808 drum kit. And by 808 drum kit, I'm talking about the Roland TR-808 drum kit. That snare is a very specific snare. It goes, so it's very specific. Okay, it's that short, plucky type snare. Here's what it's like, this type of snare. So they were really focused on that type of sound for the most part. A lot of those sounds came from the Roland TR-808, which we've been using for however many decades. Okay, so nothing new. And back then they also had snare rolls too. So let's start with the snare and then we'll move into the hi-hats and everything else. Okay, so let's add our pattern in the playlist. Let's go to Snap to Grip bar mode. And let's go to a new pattern. Let's go to pattern 6. Drag this in. All right. Okay, we're going to double click in here. We're going to put the snare on what's called the 3 and the 7 count. So I turn the metronome on. Let's go to pattern mode and then type in the snare. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's the starting point. Now, I'm assuming he likes the era where Manny Fresh did 1,000 snare rolls and like all that type of stuff. So I'll show him how to do that too. That snare is a little lightweight. Somebody uses deeper snare where they emphasize more of the low end. So now we need a kick. I like this kick, it's cool. So now it's boom, boom, boom. Very simple, boom, 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 boom. That's going to be the kick pattern. Very, very, very simple. Shout out to Mars too. Actually, I need to get Mars on this live because he mentioned that he wants to go live. So I forgot. I got to hit him up. If you don't know Mars, he is one of the co-founders of 1500 or Nothing, one of the top hip hop groups out of LA who produced for Jay-Z, all types of folks, like the highest of high as far as hip hop. I'm going to change out the bass for a bass that I would actually use. Okay, but that is the stock version. You would just have to kind of mess with it a little bit to get it to sound cooler. So a Reese bass is when we have multiple saws, they're detuned, and then we add what's called a low pass filter. And then you could add a resonance point. Now I'm going to do a 24 dB per octave low pass, so it's a little sharper. Then we're going to lower this down an octave. This gives you a bit more customized sound. And for more of that hollowed out sound, add resonance. They did this a lot back in the 2000s. So we still got to add the percussion to keep this beat moving. And then we got to add the 808. Okay, let's drop that bass down one more octave. Okay, so the percussion is going to keep the bounce. Now back then, again, they use a lot of crash cymbals. We don't use this crash as much today. Let's use hi-hats. Just need something short like this. Okay, let's go to a new pattern. Let's add the cymbal. So now we're just adding the big sound to it by making stuff hit at the same time. We still need to add a little more aggression to the sound. Let's add some hi-hats. This is right click, fill these two steps. This, that, two different kicks. This, that, two different kicks. It's a kick overlap with a hi-hat. So to keep a little bounce, I usually add a stutter in the beginning. Now if I kept doing it does just get repetitive and people get bored. So what I'll do is I'll clone this over, make this unique, and I'll double click in here and just take out that part so that it's not so repetitive. You got to remember, when we're in double time too, everything is halved. So right here, even though it says it's a bar, I'm actually writing half of a bar. So imagine listening to something that's and it just keeps repeating. You're like, all right, it needs to change. So people don't realize that in higher BPMs, everything is halved. So again, if for people who just hopped in, and we have a lot of people here, we're coaching Jay Monty right now through his request. Basically, he wants to learn more FL Studio shortcuts. He gets stuck on music theory. He uses Morpheus and Sakura. His main outcomes are income, creating a passive income. He wants to work with a group of songwriters. Basically, he gets stuck on the process of writing a song, which we'll get into that as well. He likes to make hip hop, Afrobeat, trap in the style of T.I. and Lil Wayne's The Carter. And what else did he say? And okay, so I'm guiding him through the things that he asked for. So if you're watching this is part of our new music producer mastermind group. He was on earlier, so I know everybody can't see him now, but he was on earlier with me. And this coaching is tailored to him. Now, if you take gems from this, that's great, but this coaching is for him specifically. And that's what you get in the music producer mastermind. It's called a group coaching. Okay, so let's continue the process here. So whenever I have two different patterns like this and I want to make it easier to copy and paste, I'll just hit Control G to make it all one pattern. And then I could just hit Shift and copy, or I could hit Control B to latch paste. It just makes it a lot easier to grab stuff. And then I'll show you guys how to thicken up and make this sound bigger without adding more melody. Okay, so the beat still needs like a low kind of sub. So sorry, I'm screaming. Let's add a sub oscillator here and drop it 2 octaves. We don't want this to run through the filter. That's going to thicken up that low end without adding more instruments, okay? Also, I forgot, today's Friday. We have song feedback at 3 p.m. I would highly recommend you guys produce into a limiter. I'm using L2 by Waves. And also I'm going to produce into, it's called a soft clipper. I like K-Clip. Okay, so K-Clip, we're just going to add the soft clip mode. You could produce into Fruity Soft Clipper. It just adds a little more edge to the sound. You don't have to do it. It just, when you push your kicks and bass, it helps you understand the distortion level. Let's push this kick just a little bit more. I'm also going to add a low pass filter to the kick to muffle that hi-hat out. And I'm going to pitch the kick down. To add that trick here for the hi-hat, we're going to actually go to the wrench tool, add a little time shift. This opens up the beat just a little bit. Now, again, the brass is a little bright, so what I'll do is I'll arrow through until we get to, there's a patch in here, I just forgot the name of it, that has a really thick brass. I think it's this one. Now I'm kind of liking the other one. Got to be careful with sound selection because that brass is going to overlap with that bass, and so it's going to get it's going to mask the sound it's called. So it still feels a little hollow because we don't have the vocal. Without that vocal, you know, let's look at the EQ chart to see kind of where the frequencies are missing. I like looking at Pro Q3 to check out the gap. Okay, so the gap is from 600 hertz up until 4K, which is where the vocal is going to sit. So this whole little this little drop down right here, this is where the vocal would be. So a lot of people overfill these spots in their beats with stuff, and then the vocal is no place to sit. So right here is where the vocal is going to sit. Okay, so one thing I did mention though, for that Manny Fresh type sound, the snare roll sound, we are going to go to find our snare roll, which is here, pattern 6. So let's click here, make this unique, and I'm going to go. Okay, so usually you start with the high frequency hi-hat. Let's turn the metronome on. Now here I'm going to go into snapped grid 1/4 beat to get a little more granular. So it's like, and now if it sounds wrong, change your snap to grid to 1/3 or 1/3 beat. And that's how we're usually writing, is in triplets. Okay, and then we're gonna give it a little more accent. So let's add a 1/4. Let's go to 1/6 actually. Keep it in that triplet realm. Okay, so usually every half of a bar we go down in pitch. So let's hit shift down, move those. Do. And then we're gonna end on, what is it, F sharp? Let's hear how this sounds in context. Okay. That's how you get that sound. It's triplets. A lot of people don't know about the triplet snap to grid. Now in this case, I'm going to take out the instruments that are conflicting with the triplet, which is that hi-hat. Now again, that snare, I probably wouldn't use that deep of a snare. Certified. Now I'm gonna do the TI voice stack. Now normally, actually I could record. Y'all want me to record on my real mic? Real mic, yes or no? Yes/no. If so, I might as well give him the full experience. I think my headphones, where are my headphones? Right here. Okay. So I might as well record on my actual mic, because if I record on this mic, you're gonna hear too much low end. It won't sound right. I think I have a hook for it. Yeah, we in the street, we are certified. Yeah, we in the trap certified. I'm just gonna make up stuff. All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna record in my actual mic. so you can hear these vocal stacks. We're gonna put it on loop recording, and I'm gonna run over to my microphone. We're gonna right click 3, 2, 1, go to 2 bars. I'm gonna switch my headphones here. Check, check, check. Okay, these work. And I'm gonna run over to the other mic. I'm gonna hit record on the other mic. Record audio into playlist. This is essential for producers who pitch song demos. I just got out of a Clubhouse room where they were making a bunch of songs to pitch to other artists. So you have to get in the habit of not only making the beat, but also putting people on the song so that when you pitch this to other artists, they can understand what you're trying to do, especially in R&B. Okay, so let's record audio into playlist. Mute this mic. And I'm just gonna loop record it.
You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, bitch, I'm worldwide. You can catch me in the trap, murder ride. Everywhere it's going down, certified. You can catch me in the track, certified. You can catch me around the world, worldwide. You can catch me in the trash, certified.
I forgot what I said. I forgot my own lyrics, y'all. Dang. Forgot my own lyrics. I was freestyling it. Let me remember what the heck I said. All right, let's see. Control L.
You can catch me in the track, certified.
Let me just show you the technique because I don't want to, this is not me making this song. Plus, the mic's super bright on this beat. What I'm going to do is make the vocals unique. And I'm going to pan one left, pan one right. That's how you get that wide TI sound. He's just doing multiple takes, panning them out.
You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, bitch, I'm worldwide.
I forgot my own lyrics, but that's how you do the TI vocal spread if you're going for that TI sound. The microphone's a little too bright. I wouldn't use that mic unless I was going like a deeper octave. I wouldn't use that mic. It's too bright.
You can catch me in the track, certified.
Actually, it might be those headphones are super bright. Actually.
You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, bitch, I'm worldwide. You can catch me in the track, certified.
So now that we have the vocals, we at least know where this beat is lacking, and it's in that low end. So this is where I would use my speakers so I can feel the actual song. It's really hard to mix beats over headphones. You're not going to be able to feel the bass vibrate a certain way.
You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, bitch, I'm worldwide. You can catch me in the track, certified.
So now we need to rebalance that track. So he also mentioned Lil Wayne type beats. So let's open up a new project real quick. And he also mentioned Afrobeat. So we have 2 more beats we got to make for Jay Monty here. All right, so I'll give him the project files. Let's save this. Let's call this Coaching Jay Monty 2. Now this one's gonna be Lil Wayne. Now Lil Wayne sounds a little bit different. So what I'll do, I'm trying to think of a fast way to do this. I need to play with my keyboard. Where's my thing? Where'd I put it? I'm trying to think. Top of my head. Here it is. All right. So for this, it's very musician based, and a lot of the sounds are like wah guitar type sounds. Now you got to realize as a producer how much you can do as a producer versus what you need to outsource to somebody else. I know everybody thinks we could just click in a guitar performance. It's just not how life works. We're not doing requests from the chat. This is coaching for Jay Monty right now that you guys are just able to sit in on. So this is specific coaching for Jay Monty, not people in the chat. This is our music producer mastermind that we just opened up, group coaching. Okay, so now I have the keyboard plugged up. We're gonna start with that Proteus library. Now, if you're going for the Lil Wayne era, you want to think Korg Triton, you want to think Roland Xenology, you want to think Proteus type sounds. Okay, so we're gonna go into the Proteus library one more time. And let's start with, I think they have guitars. Forgive me the background sounds if y'all hear my son screaming or whatever. We're going to go to their guitar and just start here, and we'll create a vibe. Now, a lot of the guitar sounds you guys are hearing from those records are just samples. They took those from some of these older libraries. Let me see if I can find it. If not, You just have to do more research, but it's the Retro Drums. Look up Internet Archive, Music Samples 2000s or something like that. Internet Archive, Music Samples 2000. I forget the exact name, but they basically have all the one shots from the 2000s. So let's go to guitar, electric wah. Let's get like a little sample. So that's how you get those like Lil Wayne type like sample things like that. Okay, let's see if we can like that type of stuff. Like that's a Lil Wayne type sound. Okay, so we can build around that. Also, they have some more up here. Those are way too distorted. Those are pretty much the ones you would build around. Okay, so we have those. All right, let me X out of all these tabs. So let me build a piano first, and then we'll go back and then add all that extra stuff. So I have 79% on my thing. I gotta hurry up, plug my charger back up. So most the Lil Wayne stuff is piano based. I would start with piano first, then moving into all these other instruments. To create pain chords, they're called, like that pain New Orleans type sound. We're gonna play thirds. So in this case, you're not gonna play a triad like this, D, F, A. You're gonna play just D and F, and then another part of the interval in the bass. So in this case, D. Just fell. Something fell, and I don't know what it was. Oh man. Hold on, y'all. My headphones are all wrapped up around this thing. Give me a sec. Okay. What the heck? Work with me, dog. Okay, the headphones are getting wrapped up and everything. Okay, so the pain melody is, but instead of that fifth, it's using the third instead. Or you can take the the third up an octave. But if you do play the triad, you could play the middle note up an octave. So it's A, C, E. Let's play A, E, C. Like that. So let's start there and let's kind of work backwards. It's probably going to go like 90, 91 BPM for Lil Wayne. And we're just going down the scale. Okay, so I did that. All right, let's record. Let's keep recording. I have it on loop recording. My fault, y'all. I got to do that again. Okay. My fingers got messed up at the end, so it's cool chord at the end, even though that wasn't intended. All right, so I'm gonna quantize, hit Control Q. Actually, I forgot we strum the notes. Quantizing won't sound too good. So that's how you voice the chords, it's called. Now, once you have the Lil Wayne type of piano chords, then you're gonna add your sound effects, and then we'll layer it with brass and different things. Let's add this. We have to figure out which guitar works. I think both stave 2 and stave 1 works. I don't know if that one works. So to make this easier, we're going to drag it in the actual playlist because we can actually see it. And it's easier to line up the audio when you drag it into the playlist than if you drag it in the piano roll. Now, if you do it in the piano roll, you have control over the pitch, but you could also do the same exact thing. But you have to manually do it. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Wow. Okay. I'm hitting Alt to move this audio. And then we'll line up that second one on the 4th bar. And then 1, 2, 3. Wow. Hit Alt. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just copy these. You could hit Shift up to move these closer. So now they're all on one track, so it's not hard to find. And just hit Shift, left click, and then drag the timing. I would change your snap to grid to bar mode before you do this. Hit Shift and just drag it. So now they're part of the arrangement. So next thing we need are drums, and we need to thicken up the sound. Okay, so the next sound I would probably add to this. Oh, I forgot to have my charger. Hold on, I gotta plug my charger back up. All right, so shout out to everybody who's here. Wheezy F, baby, please say the baby. Okay, so now we have those. Where did my pattern go? Where did it just go? Okay, this is more of Lil Wayne's like sadder sounds, but definitely a sound still till to this day because of Lil Wayne, that pain kind of melody. Now let's add the melody on top. Now, firstly, I would write in the actual keyscape. We're going to go up 1 octave. My computer's just doing its mind of its own. Okay, let's go to a new pattern here. We're going to add the melody up an octave. Now here I would usually play, but because my battery on the computer, I have to just type these in. And what you could do is go up. Now, before I get into the melody part, you have to also consider that when we raise that third, that's also part of the chord becoming the melody. So it's just a slow melody. It goes dun, bun, bun. But if you want to go faster, so dun, dun, so there's no rules for your melody here. I'm just gonna lock it back to 1/2 beat. Now people also omit rhythm. We're playing the same 2 notes. They're just played with a little tiny more bounce. So you don't need to get too crazy with the added melody because you already have that third playing the melody in the chords. This could be like a backup harmony. Okay, so I'm just doing that as like a slow. Now, if I play super fast melody, it wouldn't sound sad. Sadness is slow, low frequency, slower moving things. If you play fast things, it's going to sound more happy. So if you're struggling with your melody, that's probably why. Okay, let's go to this contact. Let's see what kind of instruments we can find in here. So I'm thinking guitar, but I'm also thinking more like brass type stuff. Let's see what we can find before we... Oh, I know what I want. Some strings. Let's add some strings in here. I need some short kind of staccato strings. I'm gonna go through these presets. If I don't find anything in like the first 10, I'm not gonna make y'all sit through me. So I need dun dun. Let's add some drums. Let's go to Lunch 77's kits. So again, we're making Lil Wayne style from like the Carter he asked for Jay Monty's coaching. Let's do DJ Tump sound. Let's do his snares first. Actually, is there a Manny Fresh? There we go. That's the snare. Now, this kick has a hi-hat over it. That's why it sounds. So I'm going to record this by hand. Doop, 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 doop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Still got to add bass. Okay, so I'm going to quantize, hit Control Q. Now, if you hit Control Q, it snaps to your snap to grid. I forgot we're at 90 BPM, so let's do quarter beat. Let's add the snare, Manny Fresh. Yeah, we're not using the Yeezus or the Kanye West or the Michael Jackson kit, but I appreciate you asking. Again, this is a very specific coaching session. I'm just letting you guys on YouTube see the coaching session. So I appreciate you being active in the chat. But this is coaching for Jay Monty in our new mastermind. If you want to learn more about the mastermind, it's right here. I'm now offering coaching. I usually don't, but here's the what you get inside of coaching. Okay, so let's add the snare. Now their snares are a little more bouncy because they take it from gospel. So it's boom, clap, 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 like that. Very gospel-y. I keep thinking we're at double tempo. So you can bounce it like that, but that will make it a little more dancey. So we're making more of a sad Lil Wayne type beat. But the main bounce is going to come from this bass. So we can, 808s are optional. I wouldn't use an 808 on this type of beat. But it could work. So let's use a real bass. Let me go to Ample Bass P. I always mix these up. I think it's P. Yeah, Ample Bass P. And this is for like that live bass sound. The reason I'm using this is because back then they use a lot of bass slides that like that. And you can get that in these libraries. Okay, so let's just draw the bass. So when it let's add this in. So we're just going to follow the bass. Now I'm going to pull this down an octave, but I have it up an octave so I could hear. So wait. Let's just follow the chords. Okay, so instead of doing what I was doing the fancy way, let's follow the chords and we'll pull this down. I'm gonna hit Alt Q to lightly quantize. Only thing is I want to quantize just the root notes. So I'm going to highlight the root notes, hitting Control Shift. Now the question is, let me think for a second. Instead of doing that, what I'll do is I'll quantize to the half beat and hit Alt S to do a strum. Okay, let's add this bass. Pull it down a notch. I think Keyscape is not tuned to 440. I could tell it was like pitched up, so that was my fault. It's 440 hertz. That small 5 hertz difference can change the way we perceive a key, as you can hear now. hi-hats in here. Yeah, this is a specific request. He asked for Lil Wayne from, like, I'm assuming Carter 1, Carter 2. Now he has a song called I Miss My Dogs on there, and this is more of the pain sound that I'm showing him right now. So it's a very specific sound from that era that we're covering right now. Then we'll get into the Afro beat. We did trap, we did the T.I. trap. Now the faster the hi-hats you use, the more dancey it feels. Now, if you wanted to do a bass slide, for example, you can go to your plugin, click here, and here we have what are called key switches. Where is it at? Let me find it. Slide, I think, is E0, which is E2 in FL Studio. So if you wanted to make one of these a slide, you would add the E2 key switch. As long as you play this key switch before the note, it triggers the key switch. For some reason, my plugin's been tripping in FL, but that's how you would do it. All right, so let's go back to the TI one just to remember. But the real secret is that DSF contact library. So here's the first trap beat that we did, TI era trap.
You can catch me in the track, certified.
Turn my buffer up, sorry.
You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, rich and worldwide. You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I'm going, certified. You can catch me in the track, certified. Everywhere I go, rich and worldwide.
Okay, so that's the trap sound. We went over the chord structure, the melody structure, the bass, and that. So now we're going to move into Afrobeat. It's a little more complex. And what else did he need? Music Theory, FL Studio shortcuts, Music Theory, and he uses Morpheus and Secure. So let's start another. So this is to his other part of the question. For coaching. Okay, so let's build some Afrobeat. Let me go to 128. Just heard some Afrobeat in the Clubhouse room, so it's funny enough. And one of the main sounds of Afrobeat is the log drum. Okay, so if anything, the takeaway is the log drum. Afrobeat. Okay, so let's right click. Let's open up Fruity DX10. I'm gonna go to the presets, go to log drum. Okay, so this is the sound. Now let's tap out the tempo. Doom, 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 doom. Let's do 108. I just keep finding 108 as the go-to. Go to piano roll. And we're gonna start at C4, which is 1 octave lower. And oh my gosh, my FL crashed. Hold up, y'all. All right, FL was glitching. I saw its CPU glitching earlier, but I don't know why it was glitching. It says it's at 138 CPU right now. Why? Nothing's running. So OBS seems to be a little CPU heavy today for whatever reason. I don't know. It just is. Okay. So let me switch over the screens and then we'll make this track. Hold up, y'all. Streaming is just CPU intensive. Goodness. Look at the CPU, 114, 106. Okay, let's save this. Let's do this again. Let's make this Afrobeat. All right, so the first thing is the log drum. Let's go to replace. Let's go to Fruity DX10 presets. We're going to go to the log drum preset. Wait, can you guys see the screen? Okay. My live stream is a little back in time. Wait, why is it still showing me on my live stream? Hold up. Can y'all see the screen? Give me a... You have no sound? Stop playing. Hold on. 6. Oh, it's delayed. Okay, it's delayed. Okay, my fault. My stream was delayed a little bit. All right, we're good. Okay. So, yeah, I knew you didn't have sound. I did load up FL. I don't know why there's like a stream delay too. But anyway, without boring y'all to tears, we have log drum in FL Studio from the Fruity DX10. Okay, we're just going to go to middle C. And let's go to snap degree 1/4. We're at 108 BPM. Turn the metronome on. And we're just going to go up a half step. So it's whole step, half step. There's no like hard rule for this. You're just going upward. Just going upward. And it's in threes. Dum, dum, dum. 1, 2, 3. That's a Trey Seal pattern. Dum, dum, dum. We see it a lot. Just going to repeat that. Now you can add little stutters. Dum, 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 dum. You can add whatever you want in there. Now the main thing though is the percussion or the snare on that second tresillo hit. So let's go here. I'm going to add a rim shot. Add my own sounds here. There are Afrobeat drum kits floating around the internet. You just got to go find them. They're on Reddit. So again, here's the main difference is their snare is not on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's dum, dum. Similar to how drills like tap, 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 tap like this. So if I up this BPM to 144, we get a drill beat. Listen. But we're at 108, so it's a little bit slower. And the main thing we're doing is removing the first and third hit. So you can do it whatever pattern you want, but it's that tresillo, dun, 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 dun. You could do any pattern of that you want. In this case, I'll spice it up a little bit to add a couple more hits in here. And I'll even change the velocity so it's not repetitive. So that's how you get those like weird rhythms. You're like, where does that rhythm come from? It comes from that tresillo, da, 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 da. And then you just remove stuff where you see fit. Okay, let's up this log drum. Now I'm gonna, again, customize it to my liking. Let's pull it down an octave. Give it more of an 808 vibe. Let's crank the volume. And let's add an ending to it. Dum, 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 something like that. Dum, dum. Okay, so now we're going to add some chords. Now, you could add guitar chords. In that case, I would use samples. I used to have a folder. I don't know where I put it though. But I used to have a folder from Wade. Let me see if I can find it. I think I might have moved it. It might have been on my desktop maybe. But there's a website called wavs.com. You can actually get, I think it's 50% off using my code. It should be on any of my other videos. I usually have a code. If not, I'll figure out what the code is. I think it's BWB50. Let me double check before I tell you all this. Hold up. Waves.com. I forget the exact. You have to sign in. Let me see here. If I have to sign in to check out, then we'll skip this whole thing. But let me see if I can buy something without signing in. I'm pretty sure it's BWB50, if I'm not mistaken. It's making me sign in and do all this stuff. Never mind. I'm pretty sure that's the code, though. Let me find this code because it's going to bother me. But basically, on the website, you have what do you call it? You have people doing Afrobeat type guitar. Actually, I'm going to figure out what key we're in, and then I'm going to drag and drop one in. Just give me a second here. We're doing Afrobeat for a coaching client in our mastermind. Afro, what am I doing right here? Waves. We get y'all my affiliate code. The reason I'm using my affiliate code is it actually benefits you. It gives you 50% off. So I'm trying to find it. Just got to figure out where the website is. Waves. Here. Okay. Give me a second, y'all. I got to log into their thing, their portal. Hold up. Yeah, I was right. So the code is BWB50. If you go to waves.com, that's the code. You're going to get 50% off. So it makes sense for you to get 50% off. So I'm going to log in real quick and then show you the kind of loops they have on here. These are the highest quality loops I've ever found on the internet. Way better than Splice. I'm surprised this website is so not talked about. Okay, so let's figure out what key. Actually, it doesn't matter what key we're in. Let's type in Afrobeat. Hold on, I'm going to switch screens. Boom. You make Afrobeats, Don? Afrobeat. Let's type in Afrobeat. Then I want to go to guitar, specifically guitar. And can you search within the search? Let me see, Afrobeat guitar. Oh, here it is. Sounds, one shots, packs. Okay, so let's see what they got. This is cool. Okay, I like that. It's very happy sounding. Let's download that. We're going to download the wave and just drag it into FL. Let's drag that. Boom. What tempo is this? 97 BPM. Let's pull this down. Then we're going to tempo lock. Stretch mode. There's a long loop, so I'm going to chop it. I don't need the whole thing. Let's chop it to 8 bars. Boom. Get rid of the rest. Now we just got a level. See, even without even hearing the loop beforehand, the loop works perfectly because it's a formula to Afrobeat. Much of people think music isn't formulaic. It is. Like literally, it works perfectly on this loop. I didn't even hear the loop. We're in the same key, C minor. Told you guys this stuff is. Let's turn up the log drum though. That's perfectly evidence as to that this formula works. Now, if that ain't proof enough that this works, okay, what else can we add to this? I mean, that's really it. You need vocals at this point. I might add vocals. It's kind of a cool vibe. I like this. All right, let's do vocals. We're going to do, what is this, C minor? Let's do really fast. We can put it on low latency mode, fast retune speed, and I'll hop on the other mic. We just need reverb. I'll put some Valhalla reverb on here only because I didn't realize there's different styles to it. So I'll use the now version of it. Send this there. Check, check, check. And then check, check, check. All right, let me run over to that mic and let's record some demo ideas. Record this audio. Let's give it some time to count in. Let's record audio and play this. Darn it. Gotta do it again. My headphones got stuck on the chair.
Body when you put it in for your body. We talking regular stuff is on the body. Big shot at town tape out the body. I'm in a Lamborghini, time something Harley. Front face, sudden teeth, cause it's gnarly. We smoking on red, had his house feeling hardy. But they on him, we body to body. Smoking on a kush, let me feeling lovely. I'm in a Lamborghini truck with the heart. We talking that one of a time, one of us. Big tire for a son, one of us. We talking Lamborghini top on the party. Big sound when we come party. When we hit on Ollie. Cause I'm standing on a T on my Harvey.
So that's the flow. Check. So that's the melody I heard in my head. We're gonna send that to another track. Make sure we put auto tune on this track. Hold up, auto tune over here. Again, I was kind of mumbling, but that's what real songwriters do too. Okay.
Body when put it in for your body. We talking regular stuff just on the body. Big shot that tongue tape out the body.
So now we can build around this rhythm to not overly fill the beat.
Body when put it in for your body. We talking regular stuff just on the body. Big shot that
So what it needs is just like some shaker energy on this one.
Front face, sudden teeth, cause it's gnarly. We smoking on red, had his house feeling hardy. But it
It's called a send track. Look up send tracks. Auxiliary.
Body when put it in for your body.
Okay, so let's find some shaker stuff.
Big shot that tongue tape out the body. I'm in a Lamborghini
I still feel like it needs some sub energy too to keep this moving. Where's our Afrobeat pack? Afrobeats. Let's find some. There's so many packs. I just forgot the one that's the good one. I think it's this one. One of these has. Darn, one of these has. I don't think it's this one.
Body when put it in for your body. We talking regular stuff just on the body. Big shot that tongue tape out the body. I'm in a
Here's the. I don't know if that's the one. So tap, 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 tap. It's the same as drill. It's all the same thing. Let me find. It's gonna bother me till I find that shaker. Shaker loops. Here we go. There it is. All right, so let's lock this into the grid. Double click. We're gonna go to sample mode, stretch, time lock. The shaker doesn't match. It's too slow. It's cool, but it's low. It's kind of throwing off the vibe a little bit. MJ Shaker is funny. So shaker, you just need some high frequency kind of percussive stuff. I'm not gonna make y'all. Let's make this log drum a little longer too with the decay curve. The release tail. Make it more like an 808. Only thing is though, it overlaps, so we're gonna put mono mode. No, it's still. Can't tell if it's cutting itself or what. Sounds like it. We talking regular stuff just on the body. Big shot that tongue tape out the body. I'm in a Lamborghini change something hardy. Front face, sudden teeth, cause it's gnarly. We smoking on red, had his house feeling hardy. But they on him, we body to body. Smoking on a kush, got me feeling lovely. I'm in a Lamborghini truck with the heart. We talking that one of a time for the boss. Big tire for a son, one of us. We talking Lamborghini top on the party. Big sound when we come party. When we hit on Ollie. Cause I'm standing on a T on my Harvey. That's more upbeat. It's a little slow though, because remember we started at 108. So in that case, we're gonna go to macros, switch all audio clips to time stretch. You could move it up to 108, might be a little stretched though.
Body when put it in for your body. We talking regular stuff just on the body. Big shot that tongue tape out the body.
That's more of like a DJ mix up at 108. So that's the Afrobeat thing. I'm not going to hammer that down too much, but there's a formula to it, just like there's a formula to trap, just like there's a formula to hip hop. It's just how do you tweak that formula to sound unique? Lastly, he asked for income, Morpheus, Sakura, and music theory. So it's the last piece of his coaching here. We're going to move into more businessy type stuff. Talking about basically how to take this. Now, I should have asked him more questions before going into the business side of stuff, but he said he wanted to create a group. So we'll start off with the group concept, and then we'll move into what he could do with this group. Because when you have, I think it's still auto-tune on. Maybe I'm just tripping. When you have a group of folks, it's a lot to manage. You got to be, it changes. It's not the same feeling as just making beats. You turn into a more technical person, and you might not like this role. So a lot of people, that's why they don't get into the business side of music, because it's not the same feeling. Okay. So what was I going to cover? I guess here's what you could do. Again, to Jay Monty, this is coaching in our new mastermind coaching. If you guys want specific coaching, you got to hop in the new coaching program. For everybody watching on YouTube, you're just seeing what coaching looks like. And I'm letting you see the behind the curtains so that you could get some knowledge, but also see what I do and how I can answer your questions. So this is the mastermind group. You could learn more. I'm trying to chisel this down to a simple thing, because from what I remember in our conversation with Jay Monty, he said he wants the business as like the ultimate outcome, but he's not there yet. So if I talk too ahead of his, ahead of where he's at, it's not going to make sense anyway. But the main struggle with people who come together as a collective, I'll just say where it falls down, is let me point out the problems first, then I'll get into why you need to think a little bit differently about collectives. Music collectives is, in the beginning, when you're a technician, aka a music producer, a musician, an artist, you're a technician. You're somebody who's skilled at a craft. And what happens is people want to galvanize people who are like them, other technicians. That's great. That's how America works. But the problem is they never want to let go of the technician role. And what I'm saying is people want groups, and they want to leverage other people's skills, and they want all these things, but they don't want to leave this actual responsibility. And if you don't leave that responsibility, who's going to lead the next level up, which is called a manager? And, when you learn about artists and how they truly operate, you'll realize artists are very sloppy. Becoming their manager is like, even if they're super talented, if they're a sloppy person and they don't do what they say they're going to do and all this type of stuff, it's frustrating. It doesn't matter how talented they are. And so people stop becoming managers, and they're like, why did I create this music collective to begin with? So a lot of the frustration comes from producers who want to still do the hands-on thing, but they're not operating as a manager over the other technicians. The people are finding the fun in being a technician, but they want the aspirations of a manager. And that's why there's a lot of conflict when it comes to music collectives. And even deeper than just becoming a manager of other people, the entrepreneur, the person who wants to create this collective, has to come up with systems and processes to process inputs so that the system can flow easily. What does that look like, and what does that even mean? So let me give you real world stuff. Again, most people don't see a system break down until it gets stressed. So in the beginning, when you have 2 or 3 people that you work with, of course it's easy because it's 2 or 3 people. When you have 20 people, 30 people, that's when systems start to get a little stressed. So let's say Jay Monty gets skilled enough to start networking out in, all the networking events. He talks to music supervisors. He talks to all the people who represent different projects, whether it's to be released projects or whether it's on Netflix. He talks to everybody, and he talks to influencers. He has this whole network of people who need this thing called music. But here's the problem. Okay, so let's say he gets a brief from, one of the sync opportunities. Assuming that he even has this type of power, if you want to collect people, they have to eat. So what are you going to feed people when you're collecting people? And this is something that a lot of people don't think about. You can collect a lot of people and then not have anything to offer them, and they'll leave anyway. So anyway, let's just say it's a brief opportunity, a sync opportunity, and they send the brief over. It's Jay Monty's role to say, okay, I'm not going to take the brief. I'm going to put it into a system. And let's say your system consists of Asana or some people use Slack. Most people who are in creatives don't even use this stuff. Or let's say you use Notion, okay, to create a system that automatically sends out to the group without having to manually text 30 people one by one. So now you get the sync opportunity. You put it into your Asana system, it broadcasts. And let's say you even get a little more sophisticated and you have an email chain going. Okay, so let's say email broadcast to your 30 folks or however many folks you have in your CRM, it's called. Okay. And then this is called outbound energy or outbound marketing. This is him taking the brief that he has, the opportunity, passing it through his systems. Now, if he's really G with this, he'll have it automatic to where he presses a button and it all does it. But, excuse me, he has the sync opportunity. It comes through. He puts it through his Asana, his Slack, his Trello, his Notion, whatever he uses to organize his flow. And let's say it goes to an email blast. That email blast goes to those 30 people. Okay, now, if they're really up on it, if you have a group who's tight and they're really like trying to get work, they'll respond pretty quickly. If you have a bad group, they'll respond weeks later. You lose out on the opportunity and the whole system falls apart. That's why I said this system requires a lot of work. It's not just like passive. That's why I was asking them a lot of business questions early. Because again, you could have the greatest artists in the world, greatest musicians, but the turnaround time for this opportunity might be 2 days. If you don't have people who are in your system or enough people who can respond to this opportunity within 2 days to create that very specific request, guess what's going to die? The deal flow is going to die. They're not going to trust you with deal flow anymore. So it's what I'm describing here for more business sided folks is you have to, if you're building a marketplace, you have to learn how to get the buyers and the sellers to equally be there at the same time. That's a very difficult process. If you're building a dating site, for example, you got to have the guys there and you got to have the girls there. You guys know if you throw parties, for example, I used to throw parties in college. If you throw parties and it's just a sausage fest, no girls are coming. If you have all girls, you're pretty much good to go because then that will bring in the guys. So you have to at least get something that is more in demand than the other thing. In this case, what's more in demand is the sync opportunities. So if you can have the opportunities, you can attract a lot more of the technicians, they're called. Okay. So anyway, so it goes brief, sync opportunity through your Asana, Slack, Trello, processes, email blast to folks, and then they respond. Okay. This is called turnaround time. How fast can they turn around your request? Now, here's the tricky part is that we all have the ability to send out something, but the problem is the input. This is why when you become an entrepreneur, if you don't have a curation layer, you're going to overwhelm yourself because you're not going to be able to do your functions. So all I'm saying is, I know it's getting a little tedious and a little high level, but what happens when they're done the beats? How do you receive the beats? What does that process look like? Do you have a team Dropbox? Do you have, a box account through Microsoft? What is the receiving mechanism? And then how do you curate through that mechanism? And this is why the manager layer is so important. They weed out stuff for you. Okay. Because if you, the entrepreneur, have to go through every single thing, you're eating up your own time that you could be doing something else. And so this is where most people break down, is right here, the receiving process. They can send out opportunities, but they can't receive them. So that's to Jay Monty. When you do get into business and you are thinking about expanding and creating a music collective, if you don't build the system initially, it's going to crash later. You're going to become overwhelmed. There's going to be too much input and not enough processing. Okay, so that's what I see over and over and over and over and over and over and over again with creative entrepreneurs. They don't have these systems built. So I know that was a little high level for some folks, but he wanted to see the whole picture, and that's the whole picture. So we went over a lot today. We went over music theory, chord progressions. We went over hip hop beats, Afro beats, trap beats. We went over, what else? Business side of stuff, organizing his team. We went over hotkeys in FL. We went over pretty much, I think that was it. All right. So that was the coaching for Jay Monty. Just wanted everybody else to see. If you're interested in group coaching, go to this website and come join us. It's busyworksbeats.com/mastermind. I'll be live at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to play your songs and we are going to vibe out. I didn't even realize it was Friday today. So thank you guys for being so patient with me.